Welcome to the Friday Fix. Our virtue from the box this week is discernment. So I've got it here to show you. Discernment. Now, the Virtues Project website doesn't list discernment. So first we're going to look at two definitions. A generic one from Wikipedia and another from the Christian website I just found out about called forvirtue.com. That's 4virtu.com. Now, the Wikipedia definition asserts that discernment can be psychological or moral. So, next I'm going to look briefly at 4 TV characters who practice discernment on the psychological level. And then I'll share a quote from the Baha'i faith about discernment of qualities in other human beings. And finally, I propose a different definition of discernment. As usual, I invite your comments. Discernment is the ability to obtain sharp perceptions or to judge well. It involves going past the mere perception of something and making nuanced judgments about its properties or qualities. Considered as a virtue, a discerning individual possesses wisdom and good judgment, especially with regard to subject matter often overlooked by others. The quality of discernment allows us to distinguish between what is real and what is fake. Sometimes discernment begins with intuition and is that voice inside of us that urges a particular direction or action. Some people believe that is the voice of God. We build discernment over time by observation, careful reasoning, and balanced application of our knowledge and principles. So discernment is not something that we are born with. But what about other virtues like truthfulness? Are we born with virtues like truthfulness? Isn't this something we can cultivate and become more skilled at? In a similar way as one can become skilled at not telling the truth? A skill is something you practice, the ability to do something that comes from training, experience, or practice. Let's look at some TV personalities who have the ability and the skill to see things that others wouldn't necessarily see very easily. There is Perception. That's a TV show that stars Dr. Daniel Pierce. He is a schizophrenic neuropsychiatrist who assists the FBI on some of their most complex cases. And his disability, his schizophrenia, alongside his knowledge and experience of human nature, allow him to piece together scattered bits of evidence to reconstruct the scene of a crime. Then there is our old favorite, Sherlock Holmes. Holmes is known for his astute logical reasoning, his ability to adopt almost any disguise, and his use of forensic science to solve difficult cases. Then there is a black box, and a female protagonist this time, Dr. Catherine Black, a neurologist who, despite her own psychiatric illness, which is bipolar disorder, knows the brain inside out and can diagnose brain injuries based on the behavior of the injured individual. And last but not least, Lie to Me was one of my favorites when it was coming on. Dr. Cal Lightman, eccentric man who by analyzing facial expressions can read feelings from hidden resentment to sexual attraction to jealousy. The question that comes to my mind from this definition about discernment, which says it goes past the mere perception of something and makes nuanced judgments about its properties or qualities. The question I have is, what do you do about this knowledge that you now have about the properties or qualities of something? I wanted to look at a quote or 2 quotes from the Baha'i writings. The first is, if a man has 10 good qualities and 1 bad one, look at the 10 and forget the 1. And if a man has 10 bad qualities and 1 good one, look at the 1 and forget the 10. Another very short quote is from a song which says, see each human as a shining star. When we look at each other, what do we see? It is easy to see the bad qualities in a person. That's usually the first thing people want to talk about. But this is saying that we should practice and develop the skill of seeing the good things rather than the bad things, forgetting about the bad things and seeing the good things. And that's not an easy thing to do, but it is a skill or virtue that you might want to think about cultivating. It will help us not to do the things that we usually do that we know we don't like to do because we feel bad about it afterwards. That is backbiting, talking about people behind their back and saying things about them. I want to put forth my own sort of definition about discernment: knowing when to bend, ignore, or break the rules. And conversely, knowing what rules need to be reinforced as a new situation unfolds. It's about seeing the bigger picture. Thank you for watching the Friday Fix. Have a great weekend.